So as I told you guys, the catfish industry globally is over 42 billion US dollars, and investors know this. And so a lot of investors are investing into catfish businesses right here in Ghana and the continent of Africa in general. Our last episode was with an investor who lived in Japan in the finance sector, right? And so he decided to embark on a journey on investing here on the continent. He has invested over 2.2 million, even more, in catfish business. Now that's on the larger scale. Now a lot of you guys watch the episode, you want something more affordable, so to speak. So we found someone who's actually doing that. So you are a diasporan from the US, UK, Canada, interested in catfish farming. You have maybe $350 to start. This video is for you. You can start and have your own catfish farm right here in Ghana. If you want to find out how you should do it, stay tuned.
Hey guys, I am Gabriel. This is Latman Farms, and this is how we build a future, one pond at a time.
In a quiet corner of Ghana, a man grieving the loss of his father turned to the most unlikely place for healing, a fish pond. What started as 100 fish in the backyard has become one of the most talked fish farming business in West Africa, Ghana. Meet Gabriel Latte, founder of Latman Farms. From zero experience to CNN coverage, this is his journey, and this is your guide to thriving in the booming catfish farming industry. Once a theater and religious studies graduate, Gabriel's life took an unexpected turn after the death of his father.
Prior to when I started fish farming, I was running Latman Shoes, and Latman Shoes was started when I was in university. We were just selling on Instagram and all of that. And then my dad was unwell. There was COVID coming in. Just after the COVID, then I lost him. So when I lost him, I lost interest in that business. So today I'm not able to go back to that business because he was integral in advice. Do this, look at it this way, and that kind of thing. And the Latman you hear is my dad's nickname. It was his business, Latman Construction Limited. So it was that kind of thing. A guy, you want to do business with your dad because he is your business role model. And when things started picking up, you just lost the person. I lost interest in church, relationship, business. I lost interest in every single thing. I normally just spend time alone.
He meant a lot to you.
Yes. There were days where I was a bit suicidal. I didn't know what would come out of my life because the person who was helping me to gain direction is no more there.
In the middle of grief, lockdowns, and uncertainty, he started a catfish farm in his backyard with just 100 fingerlings.
The house is at Hatchery, Ghana. That is where we lived. So I started a fish farm over there with just about 100 pieces of fish. And then after a couple of, like a month, I brought like 500 fish. And then that was how things picked up. So I was spending a lot of time with my fish. That was the only thing that gave me a bit of purpose. Yeah,
so like your therapy.
So yes, therapy. So I get up, I go and sit by the pond. So sun is out, like blazing. Then I go inside a little bit. Evening I'm back. So I loved what I was doing.
Today, he's a visionary behind one of Ghana's fastest growing aquaculture brand, empowering the diaspora to invest in sustainable farming, training first-time farmers, and proving that resilience can be the foundation of a thriving business in Ghana.
We have packages that we've come up with for persons when they want to start. Okay, so the packages, we've got like a package from 5,300 Ghana cedis, which is going to give you about 250 fish. It's going to give you the pond, the build, a bit of some training, which is very, very important. And then you can use that to start, and then a feed for like the first month. And then we have a package that goes as high as 11,500, which is for 1,000 fish. And that also contains feed for the first 3 months of production. So if you start with that package for the first 3 months, your cost in relation to the pond is sorted.
From healing to hustling, Gabriel's journey is proof that even in grief, greatness can grow. If you are inspired, don't just watch, start. In 2020, while much of the world shut down, Gabriel Latte picked up a shovel and a dream. Grieving the loss of his father, unemployed and unsure what was next, he started digging in his backyard. 100 catfish, 1 pond, no farming background. What happened next?
And so I was like, why not bring in more fish? At that time, I was not even thinking business. I was not really thinking business. Yes. And then I brought in a new set of 500, but they started dying. And then I realized, no, this is not what it looks like. And so I decided to go to the University of Ghana and then try to look for people who have an understanding of what this is all about and help me to get better. Then I picked some other online courses with some other international universities to also learn a few things on aquaculture, which was like something I could just join online, and that was okay for me.
Interesting. Today, Latman Farm is one of Ghana's most inspiring catfish operations, supplying restaurants, teaching beginners, and proving that even in grief, greatness can grow. This is not just a farming story, it's a comeback story. Like most first-timers, Gabriel started small, but his secret wasn't just in the fish, it was in the system. What began as a hustle became a movement, with investors from Canada, the US, and the UK now building pond in Ghana, all managed by Gabriel's team. For most, a bad day means losing a deal. For Gabriel, it means losing 500 fish overnight. This isn't just about farming fish, it's about creating jobs, helping families, and building systems Africans can own. 100 fish, 1 man, no excuses. Whether you are in Accra or Atlanta, this is your sign. You don't need perfect timing. You need a start.
Based on the conversations we've had, right? If let's say you've gone to a new space where you want to set up your farm, we were saying that there were different things you need to do to make sure that the space and the design and the setup works according to all of that, right? So right now what we've done is on this facility, we don't have any river, Ghana water pipeline or anything coming here.
Okay.
So what we decided to do is we had to sink boreholes, but we sank one first, and so we got our borehole down one there, and then after a while we checked the water quality parameters. We felt it was okay, and then we later on sank another one down there. Okay. So whenever you get your source water, you're not supposed to easily just do a connection and introduce it into your ponds. It's not a good practice. So you harvest all your water into a tank.
A tank, okay.
Okay. So in this tank is a 10,000 capacity tank.
10,000 liters.
10,000 liters of water.
Okay.
And we've left a bigger space because we are supposed to have like 4 of them.
Four more.
So we do like 3 more. So we have like 4 of them. Then we have like a 40,000 liter tank. Reason being is we've got ponds that we want to use to increase our capacity, but we are just waiting for the right time to work with that. So every water is harvested over here, and then what we do is we do periodic tests by just opening valves. Water comes out. What do you check? So when you're checking for, so initially with the borehole, you do an initial test which is done with CSIR, Water Research Institute Division, and what they will do is they do check on the physical components of the water. They are checking for pH, they are checking for salinity, ammonia, all of those components, and then they measure it to human drinking standards. Okay. So after you've done that test, and then based on the test, everything is okay for your farm. You see, you don't know when the components of the water may change. So when you come and put the water in here and you open your valve, what are you going to check? Basic things that works for fish, which is going to be the pH, maybe your carbon dioxide level. You're going to check your sometimes ammonia levels, hardness of the water. Yes, those things. We have like different probes that we use to check them. Later on, I'll show you how the probes looks like and all of that. Okay. So when we check. It can be every 2 weeks. You can just check to make sure what you're having is a bit. Okay. So that's here. Then it is connected to a 2 horsepower pump, which is because of the scale we have in mind to do. So we are supposed to be having about a 15,000 capacity grow out session in this farm,
Okay.
which is supposed to feed our marketing line that we already have got. So then the pump is behind, which feeds the entire farm.
I see.
Now moving on from there, we go to our hatchery.
Okay.
No, sorry. So we have a hatchery, and then we've got a nursery. But the hatchery demands a lot of water, and we realized that having the nursery over here too as well, sorry, the hatchery over here could be good for us, but also we realized that the pressure and stress it will put on the entire water system will be a challenge. So that is why we do these calculations. So now we've got a nursery. So when we hatch the fish and we keep them for a while, then we move them to the nursery. So over here, for example, they are changing the water for the pond.
Okay.
And these ones are catfish. So we've got the nursery. So for persons who start, we are setting up farms for them. These are where you are going to get your fingerlings and juveniles for your farm.
Okay.
So this is a business for us.
So you sell these ones?
Yeah, we sell these ones and we sell them for, it's between 2 cedis to like 3 cedis per piece.
Per piece?
Yeah.
Each one? Okay.
Yeah. So if you want, so if you take a package of let's say 11,500, it normally will come with 1,000 of them, and then we add sometimes 5%, sometimes 10%.
Okay.
Extra.
Okay.
So we've got some here. We've got some here. They are doing a water change. So you realize these guys are
bigger than that one.
Exactly. So we also sort them. Sorting is basically separating the bigger ones from the smaller ones. And then now we have got some here too as well.
Okay. I see.
We've got some here too as well. But so sometimes we have persons who buy 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 every week from us.
Really?
Yes.
The fingerlings?
Yes, because they've got a farm and some have ethane ponds and all of that they use that to feed. We just about last month we did like 20,000 to Kumasi.
Really? You sent 20,000 fingerlings to Kumasi?
20,000 fingerlings. They were even juveniles.
Juveniles,
yeah.
smaller ones.
So we've got like fingerlings, juveniles, jumbo. So
oh,
that
okay, bigger.
size goes up.
Okay,
yes.
okay.
So the juveniles were a bit bigger. And we normally like to do juveniles rather than fingerlings.
Why?
They are more, what's the right way to use? They are more stronger. They are, I mean, they can resist a lot of.
And your profit margin is probably higher than.
So it's not just about the profit margin. It's about when they go to a new farm. These ones can, you know, they are going to adapt to a new environment.
So if they are older, they can
easily adapt to that environment.
Okay,
so we've got
that
some
makes
here,
sense.
and then we've got some here too as well. Okay, so in an average,
there's mortality in there.
Yeah, so that's one. Yeah, good. So on an average, we plan to do like 100,000 fingerlings in a month, and so every month when we sell, so like right now, based on what rough average total 9,500. So we should have like 9,500 remaining here. And so when we have a new set of fish coming in from our hatchery, we just put this one away, and then we are supposed to have about like 16 of these nursery tanks over here. Okay. Then moving on from the nursery tank, the proper practice is to have a quarantine tank. So a quarantine tank.
Okay, quarantine tank.
So the quarantine tank is normally not supposed to be amongst all of what we've got here. This quarantine tank was down there.
Okay.
And then because of the new container, the things we brought over there, we had to move it here over. I had to move it over here. But what the quarantine is going to do, when you receive new set of fish, if you have a big farm and you receive new set of fish, you want to quarantine them for like a week or two, make sure they're okay, and then now you introduce them into your system. Then from the quarantine, we've got tilapia brood stock. So the tilapia brood stock are...
you have tilapia on here too?
Yeah, so we've got tilapia brood stock here. We use these ones to more or less like sometimes just produce just a few fingerlings. We have different things we try to do with them. So we keep some of the bush stock over here for this purpose. So you see the flow of the farm. It moves from the small guys, then it comes to a bit of the bigger bigger guys. And so you have the tilapia bush stock here. There are places where people have like 5 different bush stock tanks and all that.
Explain what bush stock is to people watching.
So bush stocks are basically fish mommies and daddies. So
okay,
yeah.
the breeders.
Yes, the breeders.
Okay,
exactly.
All right.
And then so what we've got here, we've got a grow out tank. So aside selling some of our fish, we also grow some of them for the farm. Ideally, the plan is to increase capacity to these areas to filter this. So like the entire section from where we are standing all the way up there is supposed to be for bush stock purpose. So you can see
is it bush stock for tilapia or
so grow outs.
Okay.
And this grow out is going to be for catfish.
Okay.
So you can see we've done the metal works and all of that over there. We've got the tarpaulins also.
So waiting installation.
Also ready. We are just waiting for the installation, and then we feed into the production. Initially, we were saying that we wanted to even farm for persons on this facility. Funny thing is, we've just maxed out the facility already. You understand? So then we'll now look at what we were trying to discuss to see how persons who still want to invest in aquaculture can still invest in. So over here, we've kept some of the fish for a while, and feed.
Okay. How long does the water stay on them before you change them?
You change twice a week.
Twice a week?
Yeah, so twice a week we are doing about 3 days.
3 days, okay.
3 days water change. So they are bringing in some feed for us.
Okay.
So these ones were stocked not too long ago. I think almost March. From here they came here, and so we've got these ones over here for now, and then we've got like a bigger set of them. Okay.
Also, so these are all catfish, right?
All of these are going to be catfish.
What is the biggest size you have on the farm?
The biggest size we have will probably be around like a kilo or 1 kilo or 1.2.
Okay.
Yes, that's the biggest size we've got over here. Okay. So let me see. So I'm sure they may have fed the fish already.
So they're not really hungry.
Yes, because of the.
They would have just rushed in.
Yes. You feed them already, right? Okay, so that's why they are not. Okay. So we've got that, and so in this tank, this is 18 by 10 feet, and in this tank, people do culture their fish in 10 by 10 fish for 1,000. We do 18 feet by 10 feet instead.
Just to give them more environmental room around.
Fish need space. The space you see what the space does for you. It would help them to grow bigger and nicer and all of that. So yeah, so in this tank we do like 1,000. We put a cover net. There are beds. They can come and pick your small set of fish. So we put a cover net on top of the pond, and then there's a partial shade for them. Currently, I don't know whether it's global warming or what, but the sun is very, very scorching. So we've just created, because we know African catfish like a bit of sunlight. Okay, so we decided to just shade 1/3 of the pond so that they can have
the sunlight. But if they were a cool place, they can go under there.
They can go under there. Okay, so we've got quite bigger ones over here.
Let me see. Come closer.
So the water becomes very, very green.
Why is that?
Have you realized that when you pour water on any surface, let's say like on a brick or in a space for a long time, and it has a lot of exposure to sunlight, the algae builds up. Algae are plants, and they photosynthesize and all of that. So that's the same thing that's happening. So that's what makes the water green. Green in natural sense. One of my conversations with one of the senior lecturers, he said clean water for fish is actually the green ones. It's not the ones you see
transparent ones,
very, very clear. And when he said that, because he says there are some people who go into their pond and they keep
scrubbing the water,
scrubbing. So you can clean your pond once in a while, but it shouldn't be too much because it's going to introduce a bit of stress. And fish don't like stress. You don't like stress, I don't like stress, and fish cannot stand stress at all. It's actually the major cause of fish kill. Okay, so we've got some here, some here. I think we may have to use the other side. And then we've got some too at the other end as well. So what we try to do is we are supposed to increase our capacity to this side. And
so how many more grown out tanks is left to be installed?
So the plan is to have a minimum of 15.
15?
Yes, but I know we are doing 18 because the inscriptions and all of that has been done. We are supposed to do like 18. Okay. So that's like 18-ton capacity farm. It's not a big farm though. Yeah,
it's not big.
Yeah, we've done. We are currently working on like 100,000 capacity.
Okay. 100,000 what tons?
100 tons.
100 tons.
So that's 100,000 capacity. So like 100 of these.
1,000 of these.
100 of these.
100 of these.
100 of the ponds.
Oh, that's big.
But every pond, yeah. So we are doing like 100 of them, and we work on projects in Ghana, outside of Ghana. Just basically helping people to start their own fish farm. There are projects where we've gone to different countries. We do like a week or 2 weeks of feasibility assessment, trying to make sure where we are, we can do this, do it well, the market will be receptive, and all of that. Then we can move on.
Speaking about market, who buys catfish from you guys? I've heard the word point and kill.
Yes. So we don't sell to point and kill guys.
Why?
Not because we don't want to sell to them, but because of the kind of market we have. Almost all of the fish we produce in our farm, they are already being taken care of by persons who we've entered into agreements with them to be smoking fish for them on regular basis. And what they do is some of them take the fish outside of the country. So we just put the fish in a 10 kg boxes. We smoke all of the fish, put it in a 10 kg box for them, and then they take it out of the country. Maybe you may probably be eating some of our fish in that African American shop, or yes, because I've got someone who came from the UK, and at that time we used to put a lot labels on our fish, and he told me, I've tasted your fish and I liked it. So he came to the farm to look at like where is it coming from.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I was also told that the profit margin gets higher where you don't sell the fresh and then you actually process it.
Example. So let's say if a kilo of fish is sold at 35 cedis, right? 500 grams of smoked fish is sold at about 130 cedis. 500 grams.
So you already what, 3x?
So it's not just the 3x. You see, the 500 grams is smoked size. So that is when you are done smoking the fish, you weigh them again. Now, fish is about like catfish is about like almost 70 to 75% moisture, and so if you smoke, depending on the moisture content you are having, you may need maybe 3 of them being a 500 grams when you are weighing them, or 2. So then when you do that, but still you still make a lot. You still make good profit, not a low profit, good profit.
Interesting.
And the most important thing is there are different. There's an entire value chain in fish farming. Okay, and so everyone shouldn't look at the fish farming as just with one spectacle. You have to look at it from a different angle. So there are those who are growing the fish, there are those who are connecting buyers to the farmers, there are those who are processing. Processing comes in those who smoke. There are currently persons who are doing fish sausages, fish fillets, fish crackers, fish jerky, fish powder, and a whole lot of things. And all of these things I'm saying are things I've tried here in Ghana.
Interesting. Now let's speak about, do I need some kind of licensing or government approval to start a fish farm, a catfish farm?
Good. So it depends on the scale. Okay, so first off, definitely if it's going to be a business, you want to get your business registration in there. You can also get a Fisheries Commission license. You can also get an Environmental Protection Agency license, which is going to measure what you are going to relate into the environment and how it can harm the environment. For food, you are going to look at getting
Food and Drugs Board,
FDA certification coming in there, and if you want to export, you get your GSA and your GEPA license. So depending on the market you want to deal with, you want to just build up from time to time. But everything is a process. When our first processing facility we built, we had persons from FDA coming in that they looked at what we were doing, they advised what we can improve on, and they told us we'll be upgrading you the better you get. So far as it's going to be something people are going to eat, you want to really look at
sure you check
the FDA bits being proper.
How do one prevent or treat fish diseases and mass death, mortality you'd call it?
Good. So let's say we have this pond, we've got a lot of water in the pond, and let's say the water is supposed to be a higher level than this, and we come and we realize maybe there are some ulcerations, lesions, and reddish mouth, patches on the fish and all of that, and let's say we realize it's just a few of the fish. What we do is you take those fish out, you get any of the tanks that you're seeing over here, and then you can put the fish in, so you're quarantining the fish, and then you can treat them just like the way we treat COVID. But if it is the entire fish in the pond, then it is the population is a bit higher, so then it means the treatment can be done in the pond. Now a lot of the medicines in the market for fish, I have over the years been having series of conversations with the lecturers and the fish health lecturers and specialists in the country, and the advice they gave me is don't use any of these products.
Really?
Yes. Why? Don't use any of these products.
Organic ones?
No, the inorganic ones.
Okay.
So, yeah, the reason is because a lot of the products many people are using are not supposed to go to fish. Some of them are supposed to go to poultry. Some are, like you see different animals like goats, poultry, and then you come and give it to fish. So what we do is we only use organic,
like a misdiagnosis or something.
Exactly. And what that is going to do is your fish is going to build some resistance. When there is an actual disease where they need to be taken care of, it wouldn't work. Another bit of it too has to do with some of these medicines leave residue in the fish, and when you want to now export the fish, you now realize that you cannot, because one of the licenses that is required, the EU license to export to the European Union, is that they run a couple of tests with the FDA, and they'll be able to tell what kind of antibiotics or what have you used in there. So one of the organic things we use is bitter leaves.
Bitter leaves? What kind of bitter leaf?
So there's a leaf known as the bitter leaf.
Oh,
I
really?
don't know the scientific name. And what we do with the bitter leaf is, so if we have a pond in here, we reduce the water in the pond to not the barest minimum, but enough for the fish to be able to still swim. And then what we'll do is we blend the bitter leaf. So I think they are doing some down there.
They're preparing some bitter leaves now?
Yeah, they're preparing some down there. So sometimes you can do that as a countermeasure. So before the disease even comes, you are doing that. But what the bitter leaf is going to do is it's going to boost the immune system of the fish, and then the fish's ability to or immune system will now deal with whatever disease or bacteria is available in the tank. So normally when you drain the water, you put a bitter leaf, you blend it. You want only the solution, so you pour the solution into the pond. I typically do about 30 minutes to like an hour, and then I drain and I give the fish fresh water. During those times you don't feed. One of the rule of thumbs you want to learn after all of this engagement for a fish farmer, the moment you realize there is disease in your farm, stop feeding immediately. When fish are not okay, they may not eat, and you are going to even stress them a lot more. Yeah.
Wow. I think you're a very busy person. You're building 100,000 capacity. You have several diaspora clients reaching out to you, wanting to establish their own.
Massive training on scale.
What is like your even daily routine looking like, weekly, monthly, or even yearly?
Amazing. So most of the time when I wake up, I normally do 4 or 5. Yeah, and from that time to like 10 a.m. That is the time where I am very productive when it comes to paperwork, planning, drawing, all of those things. I normally do them in the mornings, but I spend a chunk of my day in persons' farms. I spend little time on my own. I can travel for like a month working in someone's farm, and that is because we are probably trying to do a feasibility assessment. We are trying to build a farm together. I sometimes go with my PA or any persons I need to travel with to go and do that. and then there are a lot of things I do online. So I sometimes book one-on-one meetings online where I'm having discussions.
It's like consultation or what?
Yeah, it's like a consultation.
Okay.
So what we do is sometimes you can be slightly overwhelmed because a lot of the times the people in the diaspora, they want to speak to you directly. Even though you've gotten your personal assistant and you've got your client relationship and officer and all of that, they still want to talk to you, the main guy. And a lot of them get pissed when they are not able to reach out to you, forgetting that you're a human being, that you have a limit. And then second thing is this, you've just put up a process. So when you reach out to the team, you mention whatever you want. Normally they know, or we have an idea of what you are already looking out for. So if there are documents, if there are things we can share with you, we have to share that baseline information with you. Then we can pick it up. But if let's say you don't want to talk to any member of the team, you want to talk to me, and I pick up and you tell me I want to do 100 capacity fish. Come on. Because those are things that we've even done a lot of videos on our YouTube that is teaching people how
tutorials.
to do. So if you reach out to the team and they realize whatever you are saying is something that can be dealt with immediately, and there's a video to show you that, they just send you to that video. Yeah.
And then they don't look very happy with that.
Well, some people try to really understand what.
How do you manage it? Because we know the time difference, time code for America and the UK is different, and you being in Ghana, during the day time there they'll call you, and it's midnight here. How do you handle that?
So a lot of them like to call you from, like, you normally see the calls tripping in a lot from 9 p.m. and it goes to us. Like yesterday, someone sent me a message around like 11, asking if we could talk. That's my personal time. So, but the way we try to do that is we also give you a time where we are available. So, for example, like today being a Saturday, I'm supposed to probably rest, but I've scheduled persons on from 12 to like 4 p.m. Where I would be having these kind of different conversations. Some of them are, someone is even visiting the farm who happens to come from the diaspora. We've already done a feasibility assessment for her, but we want to have a one-on-one conversation to, again, understand the scope, what we can do, share ideas, arrive at a conclusion, and then we execute the farm.
I like that. Now let's work a bit. You are a visionary man. You are helping a lot of people in the diaspora make money. Let's go that way.
Yeah.
Making a lot of money, right? Latman Farm is getting bigger and bigger. Where do you see this business in the next 5 years?
Okay. So currently we want to be an authority in this space. When you say an authority, not just any authority, but an authority that is in charge of disseminating quality information on fish farming. So if you've ever visited our YouTube, you see that we have more than 60 videos just sharing amazing things about what you can do with fish farming and all of that. We want to be better in the West African region and then in Africa at large. That's one of the things we are looking out for. In this year, we're also trying to come up with a bioflux system. So
what is that?
Instead of changing the water regularly, we are creating a symbiotic environment for your fish where you're not changing the water as regularly, which is going to improve a bit of some efficiency. It's going to reduce a bit of the cost wastage we're talking about. So that is what we're looking at. In our plan, we want to also incorporate, it may look like the most things out of reach, but it's actually achievable. And so we are trying to culture a bit of shrimps and prawns.
Really?
Yes, and we've already started the research work around the prawns. We know the certification related issues and all of that, and we are currently, as I'm speaking to you now, having a series of conversations with some government institutions to see how they can assist us. So we want to be the hub for fish farming in Ghana and in Africa, but we don't want to be the only guys doing it. So what we want to do is we are building a community of farmers who love fish farming. It includes farmers who are feeding the country, and then also it's going to include you and me. And we are building an ecosystem where everybody is in there contributing their quota, probably in skill, knowledge, training, experience, money, resources, to build the aquaculture industry of Ghana. Because again, I keep saying this, based on the last data I checked, Ghana imports over 200 million worth of fish produce every single year. I am looking for maybe 1% of that, but I don't want to look for it all over. Only
alone
myself.
by yourself.
I want you, someone else. Let's come and mix our experiences, what we've learned, what we know, what you know, your network and all that. Let's build ourselves and let's all grow together. That's what
I like
I'm looking
that.
out for.
I like it. That's very powerful.
Hello, my name is Raphael. I'm in charge of operation in Latman Farms. Yeah, so I generally oversee everything that happens here, starting from making sure there's feed in the farm always, and then also making sure the fishes are always in good health, from nursery to grow out tanks, and then also making sure that the other workers around are also always to task in terms of their responsibilities and other assignments they are supposed to do in the farm.
From how long have you been doing this for?
I've been working with Latman Farms since 2022. Yes, so it's been 3 years.
What are some of the 3 key ideas that or lessons you've learned that is helping maintain a farm and scale up?
So the funny part is I didn't do anything fish farming in the university. I'm a procurement officer by profession. So I got to Latman Farm by helping with media. I know a little about media stuff, the videos on YouTube and all that. So through that, taking videos and things, I picked some basic skills in terms of the farm setup themselves, fish management of how to treat them, how to make sure they are okay when they fall sick, how to identify those things. So I just picked them by taking videos, editing videos and listening to what he does over and over again. So I've basically become like his second hand. So when it's not available in some other projects, I do feasibilities, check client's farm if it's okay for the farm, determine the number or the size of ponds that can go on their land. So I mean, Latman Farm has actually impacted in my life massively. Yeah.
What are the 3 things, before I let you go, beginners catfish farmer shouldn't do if they want to be profitable?
All right, so 1, you shouldn't take water quality lightly. 2, you should always make sure there's feed in your farm. And then the last part is the human management. That is how you take care of your fish. Now, breaking all these 3 down, water is kind of like the most important part when it comes to fish management. So you can buy 1,000 fish, 500 and everything. If you have low water or volume in your farm, your fishes will eventually die because, I mean, they need more water to survive. Now, also in terms of feeding, we have a strict rule of feeding twice a day. That is to be able to manage their body weight to the 6 months we approximate them getting to 1 kg. So we feed them 8 a.m., 4 p.m. We are very strict on that. You don't say, today I'm going somewhere, so I want to do a 6, and you don't change it that way because the fishes themselves adapt to a particular way of life. That is why I think when you were shooting the video, you realize that you were giving them feed, you are not responding. You have to be at one particular place. You feed them. So anytime they hear you approach, they get closer to you. Also, you yourself, in terms of how you manage your farm, because we have biosecurity things that we look out for when you're managing your farm. The scoop nets, the bowls you use, and the other things you use in the farm, we always advise that you keep them in a certain particular place. You don't mix them with other things you use. So when you put all these basic measures, these are just some key things that can help you to be able to make your profit at the end of the day when you start a fish farm.
What are the species when it comes to catfish? Are they just one type?
Okay, so in Ghana, there's clarias, there's heterobranchus, and then there's a hybrid of the 2. And so most of the time you have people who tell you, maybe I want the clarias, sometimes I want the hybrid.
Which one is most profitable?
Okay, profitability depends on what market you are looking out for. So for the clarias, they grow a bit very fast in a short period of time. So they normally work for people who want to harvest their fish in like 4 months. They grow very fast in a short window, and then the hybrid doesn't go very extremely fast in a short window, but normally after the 6th month, that's where they also burst up. Yeah. So normally you realize that if you are keeping a client for, let's say, 6 months or 7 months, and you're keeping a hybrid for, let's say, the same period, in the initial stages you may see the clients going a bit fast, but after a longer period of time you see the hybrid will just pick up, and sometimes the size is over that of the claria.
Interesting. Now let me ask about, let's go to the finance bit of it. I mean, we were speaking before we started recording, you said a lot of diasporans are interested in investing and starting their own catfish business. My question to you is, what is the real startup cost for beginners, and what are the hidden costs people should expect going into this business?
So starting up a fish farm, first off, you need the basic components to have your farm or your pond. So the basic components you're looking at is your pond, your setup in terms of plumbing or plumbing and installation. You need your feed, you need your fish, you need maybe a scoop net to take fish out of the pond, you need maybe a weighing scale, and water for your fish. That's what you need for the pond. But the other set of costs that can come in has to do with, if let's say you need a farm manager to take care of the farm, you need to pay the farm manager. What are the other utilities you may incur? Utilities can come in the form of electricity, in terms of pumping. Looking at this scale, we do a lot of pumping of water, and so that is one. The other thing we can look out for is other business things. So for example, you need to build a storeroom, so there's something around infrastructure. So if let's say you are coming to like a place like where we have now, and there's nothing over here, you may have to also look at, and where do I get my source water from? Do I need to sink a borehole? Is there a river nearby? And that's the first thing that you look out for. Then the next set of things will be, how do I plan my farm? Do I need to build like a storeroom? So over here we are using like a 20-footer container for our storeroom.
This is like a freezer?
No, this is just storeroom.
Okay.
Yes. The freezer bit is in the house.
Okay.
Yeah. So, but that's the general component. Yeah.
Now, I mean, look, let's be practical here. I've given you 11,500. You've given me 1,000 fish. What is my ROI looking in the next 12 months?
Okay.
So let's talk a bit of numbers for investors.
So if let's say you are starting with 11,500, that is not the entire cost. Another bit of the cost that will come in, or most of the time, we leave the rest of the cost being feeding. Okay, and typically how well you are trying to feed your fish would also be dependent on what the market is looking out for in terms of size. Okay, so we have persons that when we give you your first 3 months worth of feed, some persons buy about 20 bags extra. Okay, so that 20 bag, an average feed costs between 300 cedis to like 330 Ghana cedis. So if you do 330 per bag, yeah. So if you do the 330 by your 20 bags, let's check from the calculator.
What is the number? Give me
330
cedis, okay,
by 20.
Okay.
Are you getting?
We have 6,600.
6,600, and then do by 40 bucks. So 40 bucks would be
264,000.
No.
Oh, 6,600 by what?
So by 2.
Okay.
13,200.
Oh, 13,200. Yeah.
All right, good. So when you start with like an 11,500 package, and you are probably buying just 20 bags in addition, which is going to be around 6,600. That becomes your cost of production for the fish farm you started. So typically, right, a lot of the cost we see for a 1,000 fish is between 20,000 to like a 25,000. Okay, and that's your cost of all of that, including your setup. Then that 1,000 fish is supposed to give you 35 cedis per kilo. That's the minimum we sell on the market.
35, okay, per kilo.
35 Ghana cedis per kilo. Okay, yes, because we have persons selling at 45, almost as high as 50 cedis per kilo. But we are given a baseline of 35 cedis per kilo. Now, out of 35 cedis per kilo, we factor in a bit of mortalities and all of that. You would lose some of your fish. So what we do is, if we are stock for our end, if we give you 1,000 fish, we add an extra 100 for mortality purposes.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's one of the important things over there. But let's just say at the end of the production, you still have 1,000 fish because you've lost maybe 100 over the period of the culturing period. Then what's going to happen is you are going to get about 35,000 Ghana cedis by selling the fish fresh.
Fresh.
Yeah. So if
1,000 quantity, 1,000
Yes.
pieces. Okay.
So if you should do your calculation, you see that you are, if let's say my cost of production is around 25 cedis, then you are going to get around like a 10,000 Ghana cedis on that particular.
Over
pond.
what period of months?
So that's normally people who are keeping their fish between 4 to 6 months.
Okay, 4 to 6 months.
Yeah, 4
okay.
to 6 months. Yes.
Now, I mean, let's talk about the space. What kind of space do I need to start a catfish farm? Is it at my backyard? Do I need to go buy land somewhere in the jungle? How, let me know.
Good. So when it comes to space, you can start in your backyard, but the basic things will always be around. Let me just break it down into very simple components. One, where I'm going to position my pond. Two, how am I going to get water into my pond. Three, how am I going to take out waste from my pond? Where am I going to put them? So for example, if you have very small systems, you can allow the water to pour even on the ground. The ground will absorb them because you are dealing with about like 2,000 liters of water for 1,000 fish per pond, which is not too much water, though it's a lot of water, but the ground will be able to absorb them. But like a farm like ours, or a bigger farm, you may need to come up with an idea on how to do that. Okay. So what we do is we have like a sump, and we built it on the farm where all the wastewater goes in. Sometimes we have persons who come and take the water and go and use for agricultural purposes.
Interesting. So it's like a manure.
Yes. So the space you can start small from your backyard to if you want to do a bigger sort of thing then. And one of the things we do as a service is we do feasibility assessment. So we have persons who say, hey, I want to start a farm. I have a land here or there, and I want you to come and check and make sure this space, my water, because we do water quality analysis and all of that. We just want to make sure it meets all of the things we are looking out for. Then we'll now share maybe you can do 5 ponds over here. It's going to cost you X amount of money, and then there's the revenue you're going to make over the first and second cycle. The first cycle includes the ponds in the calculation. But the second cycle, the ponds, the plumbing, and other inputs are out. The major cost or the operational cost will now become your new fish, your feed, your water, and maybe your labor and other utility cost as well. Now,
look, tell me, which one is better? Okay, concrete, plastic, or trampoline like you have behind you? Which one is better?
Okay, so opinions are like noses. Everyone has one.
Yes.
But as a business person who has been doing it for quite some time now, I mentioned that I had a concrete tank
in the beginning.
And that concrete tank was built by myself and another worker of my dad. We didn't have a lot of expertise, but we felt, because the person who built it was someone who knows how to build, like put up buildings and all of that. But the issue was, whenever I place water in the ponds,
it drains.
It's leaking.
Okay.
I tried fixing it severally, so I'll spend a lot of money to try to fix it, but it wasn't working. Now I have outgrown that space and I'm in a new space. The only things I was able to bring along with me are my tarpaulin ponds.
Interesting.
You cannot take your concrete pond anywhere.
Right.
So I normally tell persons that concrete ponds and tarpaulin ponds, first off, it's not just about moving, because when you start a farm, today this is the layout of the farm. I can tell you sometimes 6 months from now, you may come and then the layout is different.
Why?
The reason is because every single farm will be tweaked from time to time. That's the reality. So apart from the major structures that you need on your farm, the rest of the things in your farm should allow you tweaks. And it's even in universities and all of that, the systems needs to be tweaked from time to time. So that's one. The second reason why I choose tarpaulins over the concrete, they are still going to give you the size and all of that, but cost. So a tarpaulin pond is a bit cheaper than the concrete pond. That's one. Two, the tarpaulin pond, like this entire farm you are seeing, can be built in less than 3 days.
In less than 3 days?
Yes.
Okay.
But if it's a concrete tank, probably going to take about like almost like 2 months, give or take.
Because it has to dry?
It has to dry. You need to do some reinforcements and all of that. This can be done in less than just 3 days.
Very, very interesting. Now, I mean, look, how do we keep fish alive and healthy? You know, I mean, I have my tarpaulin thing going. How did I make sure they are healthy? Yeah.
So, I like to break things into different components. Okay. So that when we put all together, then we have the ultimate goal. So the ultimate goal is we want our fish to be very healthy. What do fish need? One, they need the right setup. So the right setup includes what kind of pond have you got them in? What's the architecture of the pond? What's the amount of water the pond can take? And how many fish have you placed in the pond? For example, if a pond is supposed to take 1,000 and then I put 3,000, what is the impact going to be on the fish? So understanding that bit of it, and then the next one will be around husbandry. So the husbandry includes what time am I changing my water, how do I treat disease, which is very important, what time am I, how am I making sure I'm enforcing biosecurity. All of those things comes into the husbandry, which also includes what quality feed am I giving my fish. Okay, so if you have a good system and then you have the husbandry, then the last bit will be that whoever is going to manage your farm, or whoever is taking care of the farm, should be proactive and know exactly what they are doing through training and experience.
I've had a farmer tell me, a fish farmer, that if you really want to be successful in this kind of business, you yourself need to be very knowledgeable about the process and have to be on ground. Right now, you are saying that you can train someone to go take over and make sure everything goes according to plan. Would that reduce profit margins in that case, or it wouldn't even affect at all?
Okay, so so one of the things I didn't mention, we offer a lot of training. This month, for example, cumulatively, we've trained. Yesterday, I was on a training where it was online. We had about like 119 persons on the training, and we've had a series of trainings. So cumulatively, let's say about like 200 persons have been trained in this month from Latman Farms. Okay, and the training we offer, we say the owner, the financier, we give preliminary training and an advanced training. At least if money is going to come out from your pocket to start this thing, get the preliminary one, which will just let you know, okay, if my farm manager says I have to do this, I have to do that, it's a bit in the known. When your farm manager misses something, you're able to tell him that you are missing something. So that's the first bit. Because there are persons where a farm manager can tell you we need 1,000 bags, but you need 50 bags.
Right.
You understand? So there's that bit. Now, when persons are being trained, how do we make sure we follow processes to still maximize profit? When we are done training a person, and the person goes to your farm. So normally what we do is you give us the person you trust who is available to train. When the person comes to us and we train the person, now we have more or less like a dedicated business line for persons we've trained. Whatever issue they are encountering on the farm,
they call.
You can call, you can send your responses or whatever it is via WhatsApp. And then we have persons around who have fish health knowledge to come in there and assist you to be better. So we try to do that. And then we also give some record sheets and forms and all of that we can use to monitor growth. And the last bit is we have like a service where we more or less like make sure we are going according to what we've said. So for example, if we are looking at achieving 100 grams in a month, you can call us, we come and then we check, are we there or not? If we are not there, we need to do ABC, we need to recalibrate our feeding and those kind of things. Yeah,
I see. Tell me some of the biggest mistakes new catfish farmers make, and how do you avoid that?
So one of the biggest mistakes new catfish farmers make is not trying to get adequate information on design and setup.
What do you mean by
So design and setup is so if you look at our ponds, we normally have the structures, the metals we are using to hold the ponds are like 2 inches size of galvanized pipe. I've seen a lot of farmers who are using like 1 inch pipe.
It's not strong enough.
It will be cheap, you would get them, but after a while you see that the pond doesn't last longer. But most importantly, the mistakes is not just around the setup, it's also around husbandry. So they don't have a lot of information. They tell you feed to satiety, so people just feed and feed and feed and feed, waste a lot of money. So there are a lot of processes where if you don't work with a ration, you may spend a lot of money, and you realize that you may grow your fish all right, they look big and all of that, but a lot of your profit has been wasted. Yeah.
Interesting. Wow. What are the feed options, and how do you reduce the cost?
All right, good. So catfish requires a higher level of protein in their diet as compared to that of tilapia. Now there are different kinds of feed available to fish. Fish doesn't mind if they're in a pond. All what they want is give me food and I'll eat. So they don't mind if the feed coming to them is artificial or is natural. And in their habitat or in the ecosystem where they find themselves, in the rivers, lakes and all of that, what they feed on are going to be either plants or other aquatic organisms available to them. But for fish farmers who have brought fish into some of these systems, we need to consciously make sure we give them the right feed they want in their rightful proportions. So if you look at the fish meal or the fish feed, there's a fish meal component, there are wheat and bran and other agro products, and sometimes persons give some of these things to their fish. But what we say is those things may be supplementary to the growth of your fish, especially if you are running something commercial and you want to harvest after a certain period of time. Therefore, we tell persons that if you can buy a commercial feed, that's the pelletized feed. Why? In as much as we make a lot of noise about the price of feed being expensive and all of that, do you know that if you improve on your husbandry practices and you cut wastage on your farm, you still make good profit?
Really?
And I'm saying this because I've worked on a lot of farms. I know a lot of farmers who are all buying feed and they are profitable. The issue is we need to zero in on what is increasing waste in my farm and cutting down on that waste. Example, if you go and buy feed from any company and the feed has a lot of fines like powder, and let's say you buy like 50 bags and every one of them you are getting maybe like 100 grams of powder, that powder cannot be given to your fish. So if you do the calculation, maybe that's almost a kilo, right? And that kilo, if you do your calculation, you can tell how much money you've lost to that kilo. Persons throwing feed in their pond, their fish are not eating them and they're still introducing feed. That is wastage. And because what is going to happen is that feed is money, and when you do the calculation, a kilo is about like 16 cedis thereabout. So for every feed you give to your fish, which your fish is not eating, you are wasting money. So it is understanding what is happening from time to time and minimizing and cutting down on those wastage. That's how you make profit. It's not always about trying to think about the biggest way of producing feed, because there's a problem in there. Persons are trying to produce their own feed, but they don't have the experience. And feed production needs massive levels of experience. The fact that you've combined A, B, C together doesn't mean it is very digestible to the fish, and then it is also going to result in weight gain or nice meat or nice fish. You understand?
Yeah.
So it is understanding the science in there. I know. So I'll tell you, out of 10 of my clients that I have, if I pick 10 of my clients who happen to be persons in the diaspora, let's say 9 or let's say all of them have bought a feed mill where they want to produce their own feed. Only two of them are able to produce with those machines.
Say that again.
If we have 10 persons who have started a fish farm and they've bought feed making machine and they've imported them into Ghana, only 2 of them can use those machines.
Really?
Yeah.
And why is that?
The reason is expertise. If you bought those machines, you bought it from, a lot of the time they buy from China and they bring them here. I've seen a big mill where a machine got broken down because when you're producing feed, the moisture content and all of the things are very important. Slight change in moisture content can impact your feed. And there was a problem with the whole feed mill. Nobody in Ghana said they could fix it up. They need to find a way they can get someone from China to come down. That's a lot of cost. So there are a lot of them that are now trying to sell that feed mill they couldn't operate to other farmers.
Interesting.
So if you say you want a feed mill, someone will say, I've got some, come and take a look at it, and then you just buy, and then you find yourself wanting.
So you're better off buying the feed from a big company that have a good reputation, providing good feed than doing it yourself.
So you have consistency. So the feed is supposed to come in certain granules or sizes, and when you buy from these companies, most of the time their inputs are good. If you and I, we are going to get input for our fish produce, the chances are that we are going to compete with what human beings are also interested in. The other bit of it has to do with aflatoxin related issues, which is a whole big situation out there. You understand? So if you are buying from a pelletized company, what is going to happen is you are going to save a lot of time, because the feed has already been produced. You go and you pick it up. You are not going to run around trying to get input from northern part of here and there and quality check. You bring it to your farm, go through all of the processes. If it doesn't, because even with the feed mills, most of the time their first production for a batch
they lose a lot of money in the beginning.
Yes.
Beyond trials.
Yeah, not even just the trials. I'm talking about batch of production. Like we are producing this batch. Okay, sometimes they can produce a batch, and just because of a slight change in moisture content or ingredients, because sometimes they look for substitutes, they have to scrape that whole production. And farmers go through that a lot, especially those who say they are trying to produce their own feed.
Now you just said something that if you pick out 10 diasporans, your clients, now that means most of your clients are in the diaspora.
Exactly. I've got like 70% of them coming from the diaspora.
Really?
Yeah.
So I can be from the UK, from the US, Canada, be in the diaspora and run a catfish business here in Ghana.
Yes, you can. So what we were doing was, again, let me break it down to 3 components. The first component is where you reach out and you say, hey, I've got a property and I want to start a fish farm. You contact Latman Farms, we go, we do an assessment, feasibility assessment, send you a report which says we can do it on your space, but we need A, B, C, and this is how much it's going to cost you to have this farm set up. This is how much it's going to cost you if you set up, and then this is how much revenue you are going to make from that. So we send that to you, and then we give a recommendation. Maybe you want to start like a 50-ton capacity. That's like 50,000 capacity. We could tell you maybe start with like, let's say like a 5 or a 10, and then there's that continuous gradual improvement that comes in there. So that's the first bit. So the second bit is where we do something like a contract farming. The contract farming has to do with managing the farm. We are the ones going to manage your farm, and what we are doing currently, and this is the first time I'm saying this on any platform, what we are doing is we've got quite a good number of fish farmers who are doing very good. They have their marketing to a certain extent sorted out, and they just need an injection of capital or cash. So what we are looking at is we can use some of these farmers to scale up while they contract farm for you. So you handle everything that it takes. So for example, own a pond. Let's say own a cage, own a pond. It could be on the lake, it could be anywhere, but we will make sure that the farmers are doing what they're supposed to do, and then we sign a contract and then you get your revenue in there. So there's that bit. And then there's the bit of, you know what, I don't want all of these risk factors and all of that. I just want to invest in a farm. there's that option as well. For example, currently we are running one where we have a good number of people in the diaspora who have invested into Latman Farms, and we just told them we are going to give them like a 30% return on investment
Annually?
Yeah. Yes,
Okay.
that's annually. Yeah.
Send a final message to the people in the diaspora, even the youth on the continent who even here in Ghana doesn't believe it's possible to make money here. You obviously are making money setting up this business. Send a message to them regards to how possible it is to make it here in Ghana, and diaspora, and also talking to them about the opportunities you think is available here in Ghana.
Okay, so to do that, I came across one video recently, and it's a billionaire who I've forgotten the name, and he said the place to make money for billionaires now is in Africa. And so if that is what he says, then I know that Africa is the way and where you should be. Why? I've been doing this farm. I'm not sure if I was in the United States of America, I would have been able to set up this. Why? Because we tried. We tried consulting for a farm for a fish farm in Baltimore, where there was a warehouse. The regulations, the things that was needed to start a farm blew the investor away, and we just decided to just take that out of there. Yeah, so there are a lot of opportunities over here. We are not saying labor is cheap, but labor is affordable, and you can make a lot of mistakes here and still pick it up. What I'll tell you, a young person here in Ghana, is, you see, you find yourself in an environment which we complain a lot about, the fact that it's not well enabled, but it is also enabled, because a lot of us, with the kind of attitude we show towards work, if we go to some of these spaces, it will strangle us to death. But here we are in a free space where I can just get up one day, dream about owning a fish farm, and I have a fish farm. I know people who have reached out to me from the diaspora, and they tell you, I love farming, but where I am, I can't even dream about it.
Interesting.
And so it is beautiful for you to be here, invest in Ghana, invest in Africa, because if you do not invest in Ghana, you do not invest in Africa, definitely your bloodline is not going to benefit from that. If you want Ghana and Africa to be a better place, it starts with you and I.
I like that. I like that. How do people find you?
How do people find me? If you want to reach out to us, you can email us on Latman Farms, LARTMAN, and Farms, FARMS, @gmail.com. And then also our office line is 050-047-5443. If you're in the diaspora, what I'll tell you to do is you can just pop in a WhatsApp message, and then you can leave a voice note. We'll look at it and then we'll respond to you.
I like that. Thank you so much for talking to me.
It's an amazing pleasure.
And you're doing a great job. Keep it up, and I'm sure you're inspiring a lot of young folks here in Ghana and the whole world.
Thank you very much.
I like that. Thank you. The microphone just came off, guys. Okay.